Oftentimes when we read these particular scriptures, we think a lot about faith. And we think about doubting, and we think about Thomas. But sometimes we miss some of the other things that the verses really tell us. I'm talking about this one thing that Jesus talked about. Jesus just said, anything you forgive here on earth, will be forgiven in heaven. And we forget that, each and every one of us. And whether we want to admit it or not, we all carry a little doubt in our hearts, especially when it comes to forgiving others. One of the first things that I always hear everybody say is, I can forgive them, but I'll never forget. I'll never forget the hurt they caused. I'll never trust them again. For me, one of the things I would use to say is, I'll bet you I'll stay as far away from them as I possibly can. We're good at that. Lying to ourselves. Whether we believe it or not, that's what we do when we say, I forgive. But by God, don't get in my pathway again. Don't cause me trouble. It takes us so long to really get over our hurts. And then if we happen to be one of those people who has done something and we want forgiveness, we become so much like Thomas. When we say, I doubt this happened. I don't know about you, but if I've ever hurt anybody, I know it's not my fault. Right? Is it your fault? You know, somebody might have talked back to me and they shouldn't have, and I lost my temper, and they knew I had a temper. You know? They swing first. I remember that so well. I remember my little Joel, who was the most passive guy I ever knew in my life, getting off the bus in kindergarten, knowing he was in trouble, and turning to his dad and saying, but he hit me first! Which told me that Joel did not turn the other cheek. Guess what? So many of us are like that. We're like doubting Thomases. We believe that we have to see everything. If you want my trust again, you have to prove it. And how do you prove it? Well, you better not slip up. Better do everything I tell you to do. Anything you made me a promise of, you better carry it through. And I think about the things that I promised people that maybe I couldn't carry through. If any of you told anybody you'd be there for sure, for some event they were having, and then ended up sick, or ended up having to do something else that seemed more important at the time. If you're a parent, a kid getting hurt, and you got to take care of that first. But guess what? You didn't do what you promised me. How can I trust you? So many of us are like that. We want to be proven. We want people to prove to us their loyalty. Prove to us that they're telling us exactly what they're going to do. So much like Thomas. If you want to believe, show me. And not many of us are as good as Jesus, where I can come up to you and say, put your hands here. Put your hands here. So that you can see, so you can believe. And I love the very next line that Jesus gave us. It's actually the line we should be living our lives by. Simply, blessed are those who believe without seeing. Blessed are those who believe that someone who's hurt you has remorse about it and deserves forgiveness. Blessed are those who don't have to have it all proven to them. They just believe. Blessed are the ones who all of a sudden feel the Spirit and know God is real. What do you mean, preacher? I look around and I see so many of us sitting here. And a lot of us are just here for one reason. And that reason is we know Christ is alive and well. But we know it because we came up in church and we were taught that. And we accepted that belief. But oh, how I love for someone who's never heard before the story of Jesus and what Jesus did for us. And they believe. And you can tell it from the smile on their face or the tears flowing from their eyes that they've been touched. And that touches your heart. God has this wonderful way for each and every one of us. Because, see, God believes us when we make that promise. I love you with all my heart. I'll support you. I'll go where you lead me. I promise to be a good follower of Jesus. I'll get up every time the church is open and I'll make my appearance. And I'll tell others about the love of God. And I'm sure that God knows the truth that's within our hearts. That we'll get up and go to church every Sunday morning with healing. Because if I got an excuse not to go, other than I'm going to make you sick because I've got some kind of contagious disease, I'll use it. Right? My back hurts. My knees are hurting. I got people coming over today, and Lord knows that I got to at least run the vacuum through the house before they'll get there. And they're coming early. Nothing to say that we had all day before to run the vacuum through the house, but we'll wait and have that as an excuse. I have friends coming in. Lord knows that we can't possibly bring them to church with us, can we? We have a lot of excuses or reasons for not doing what we promised God would do. God, I promise to always tell the truth. Sister Mary, and I'm not picking on you, I'm just using the name because it's easy to come by. Sister Mary came through the door, and Lord, that orange dress sure makes her look like a pumpkin. And she asked me, "Do you like my new dress?" And I smile and say, "It's beautiful." But Lord, I promise to tell the truth each and every day. We think about it. What we make promises to God that we'll do. If you just show me, God. Just show me. Show me those scars. Show me that slit Prove to me you really exist. Just show me. And I like the fact that Jesus told Thomas, you are blessed because you saw. But even more so are those who haven't saw and are still blessed. And blessed more than you are. Blessed are those who try so hard. Blessed are those who tell Sister Mary that dress is beautiful, so they don't hurt her feelings. That's really why we do it. God knows those things about us. He knows that we're going to take that Sunday off because Aunt Janie's coming. Or sometimes I think about, I brought my grandson Boo here. Lord, what a mistake. Never saw a kid that was so bad in church in my entire life. He wasn't going to let the band sing because he wanted to use those microphones himself. He wasn't going to sit quietly while Grandma preached because it was so much better to holler. And God knows he wasn't going to go back to Sunday school because he missed the action. But guess what? I made up my mind then and there that Suzette would stay home with Boo if he came to visit again. And he wouldn't come to church. How many of us do that? And guess what? I love my little Boo, and he probably needed to go to church.
Yes.
We all do things for very many reasons. And if somebody had asked me why Suzette wasn't here, I would have simply told her she wasn't feeling well, instead of that, God, I didn't want to be embarrassed by Boo. We all do things for very different reasons. And Jesus tells us, blessed are you who have seen. Another way to say that is simply, blessed are you who try their very best to do all they should. And blessed even more are you who do believe with all your heart and soul all the things you made promises to do. Blessed are you who really do show what it means to be a Christian. Blessed are you that have learned to forgive and don't have to have things proven to you. Blessed are you that have learned to give whether you receive or not. Blessed are you who believe when you don't see the results. Blessed are you who are God's children. And I think about it. I would love to be one of those who are blessed for being God's children. For being the one that does instead of the one that tries. God is so good to each and every one of us. Think about it. Think about how you've been blessed in life. Think about how you've been given. Given to, without asking for anything in return. Think about the blessings that you can give to others. Think about turning the other cheek. God will reward us just as he rewards those who try. Thomas went on to be a very, very, very famous evangelist. He carried the Christian religion not only to Africa, but to India. He ended up a very horrible death, but that didn't stop him from always loving Jesus and telling others how he had met him. Do we tell others how we met Christ?